away we go. So good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone, wherever you happen to be in the world today. Welcome one and all to Coffee Talk. It is time once again for Coffee Talk Live, where we will be having some discussion about what is going on in the world today. We will take a look at some clips from the news, share a little bit of dialogue with some of you who were able to join us for the live portion. And if you are listening or watching anywhere else and you would like to join the live portion, you can find us Monday through Friday at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on YouTube, on Coffee Talk and Prepper University. That's at Coffee Talk Live and at Prepper University. You can find me on X at Coffee Talk Chat. You can find me on fistfulofradio.com, podcasting out of Atlanta, as well as Rumble. And that would be Coffee Talk 2 with the number 2 as I get ready to jump off here. Say hello to some of the people that were able to chime in on the live portion, on the live chat. I see Bob is here today. Helter, Dragon, John is here. Jeff, Peter, Brian, and Tuck, and a couple of mentions of cats there. Undercover Rusky is watching and playing Fallout 4. Okay. Fair enough. Fair enough. And hello to everyone else who is watching who maybe cannot or does not want to chime in for whatever reason. That's fine. As we get ready to jump off here and take a look at the realm of the ridiculous, and that is the insane world that we live in. The insane world that we live in, where you can have a congressman cut up and get thrown out of session during a presidential speech, and then when he's getting sanctioned for it, surrounded by Democrats locking arms and singing "We Shall Overcome." That's how crazy it is. That's how crazy it is, ladies and gentlemen. We read that story yesterday, and that was State Representative Al Green from Texas. We shall overcome. Hallelujah. Insanity is what that is. But we read about that yesterday. Peter says it proves it's all a show. Yeah, because I don't know if they care or believe in anything they're talking about, but they sure will put on a production. But they've gone too far with it, and people just can't take it seriously anymore. They can't take it seriously anymore. So they watch these people, and they're like, what the hell is wrong with you? What are you doing? What are you doing? It doesn't make any sense. But speaking of putting on a show, we're going to go to Canada. We're going to go to Canada. And of course, you know, there's been a lot of kicking around with tariffs and threats, especially from Trudeau, who makes threats and then begs for a break. Back and forth. Daily Mail article, Justin Trudeau in tears after a humiliating battle with Trump. Yeah, Justin Trudeau was in tears during a press conference Tuesday after Trump spent the week tormenting him with a tariff war in his waning days as prime minister. The U.S. imposed 25% tariffs on all goods imported from Mexico and Canada, rocketing the country into a trade war on Tuesday. Well, they had time. He suspended it. He suspended it to give them time to hash things out. I guess they just didn't use that time accordingly. But just days later, Trump reversed his economic slapdown, saying that goods that are compliant with the North American Free Trade Agreement will not be tariffed until April 2nd and are apparently considering a similar carve-out for Canada. Trump has been mocking Trudeau for months, threatening to annex Canada as the 51st state and referring to the prime minister as Governor Trudeau. And again, that's humor. That's Trump taking cheap shots at Trudeau. He's not going to annex Canada. He's set to officially transition to a new leader once his Liberal Party holds leadership elections Sunday. That new leader will soon face a national election shortly after. If he does, I've been hearing rumors that Trudeau is saying he's not going anywhere while all this is going on. So we'll see if he actually does it or not. And I see Fluke Man has joined us, as well as JJ and Johnny Future and Puck. Puck wants to know is the okay. JJ says, Justin, now just show us on the doll where the orange man touched you. Yeah. And all people said that's why they call him Teardrops Trudeau. Really? I hadn't heard that one. Trudeau is trying to have some semblance of a victory lap after being forced to resign when it appeared he could not win the next election. I don't know how he got as far as he has. Maybe Dominion has something to do with it. At a press conference in Ottawa discussing childhood health care, he clearly saw the end of the line and became emotional. On a personal level, is this quote? Okay. On a personal level, I made sure that every single day in this office, I put Canadians first, and I have people's backs, and that's why I'm here to tell you that all we got you, even in the last days of this government. We will not let Canadians down today and well into the future. Oh. Okay. He added that he is looking forward to a transition to my duly elected successor in the coming days or week. Believe it or not, despite the terrible job he's done for Canada, I think that Justin Trudeau is using the tariff problem, which he has largely caused, in order to run again for prime minister. So much fun to watch. And that's Donald Trump quoting there. And that's what I was surmising, that maybe he was trying to use this to cling to power. There he is. Teardrops Trudeau. I like that. Teardrops Trudeau. I like that. And Fluke Man says, what? Was it a 4-minute late start today? Nothing on my screen until almost 5 minutes had gone. Really? No. I've got 7 minutes and 51 seconds in, according to my prompter here. Tuck said tears of a clown. And Johnny made a donation to the channel. Thank you, Johnny. He says, bless the kitties. Very much appreciated. And as always, need all the help we can get. It's expensive taking care of them. But, I do it no matter what, because I do enjoy it. I enjoy taking care of them. I like it. I like helping them. But thank you very much, Johnny. Puck says Trudeau's replacement, Freeland, wants UK and France to team up with Canada against the US. She mentioned nuclear weapons. Did she? Did she? Interesting. But there you go. Crybaby Trudeau. It says Trudeau veered between and this damn thing. Hold still. Where are we? Because it jumped, and now I don't know where it is or where it's at. This thing is not holding still. I hate when it does this, and I think it's the ads that cause it to bounce around. That's a little frustrating. It says next Canadian election will be held no later than October 20th, 2025. Now that's a long way off. That's a long way off, actually. About 400,000 Liberal Party members are eligible to cast ballots in the leadership contest. I don't like how any of that works. This is a time to hit back hard and to demonstrate that a fight with Canada will have no winners, he said. The United States imported $412 billion worth of goods from Canada in 2024, according to the U.S. Census. Trump has argued that the trade deficit with Canada demonstrates that the United States deserves to level more tariffs on the imported goods. And then he goes on, this is Trump talking, we subsidize Canada $20 billion per year. Without the US, Canada can't make it. So we give Canada $20 billion a year. Incredible. Incredible. And as far as importing, according to Justin again here, by just over $500 billion in goods, that's not a lot by comparison. It's not a lot by comparison. And oh, New York Patriot is here. Glad you could make it today. All People says, wait, is that Justin Trudeau's real biological dad, Andy Kaufman, from whom he got his crazy eyes, and not Fidel Castro? Andy Kaufman would be just as bad. Andy Kaufman was a bastard. I know everybody says he's a comedic genius. I don't think so. I don't think he was. I think he was an ass, and he was really good at creating something out of nothing. Let's put it that way. He would do things that were outrageous for attention, and it worked. He had the potential to be funny, but often was not. Often he did things that were just rude or obnoxious. And we mentioned Kaufman like last week. It opened the door for people like Andrew Dice Clay, who was not funny. Andrew Dice Clay was just vulgar and obnoxious. And he took it as far as he could take it before people just got sick of him. And he wasn't able to transition into another form of comedy or acting or anything. And I see League of Smoke is here. A sensationalist. That's what Andy Kaufman was, a sensationalist. And he did some really crude and rude and ugly things. That's why a lot of people didn't believe it when he died. They thought it was just another stupid prank. And David Creason is here. Glad you could make it today. All People said Andy Kaufman is the creepiest person ever shown on TV. You think so? And New York Patriot said all of to hear countries that tout their superior social services to ours are able to have those services because we fund their defense. Talking about Canada, I imagine. Yeah. And Sven said modern comedians need to transition into being funny. And Patriot has a small soft spot for Andrew Dice Clay. He was okay in Ford Fairlane, but that was the character called for that type of an attitude. But yeah, I mean, that's really his personality, though. That's why he was never able to transition or to change himself so that he could stay relevant. He just kept being nastier and nastier, and people got tired of him. Almost collectively, he went. People who aren't familiar with Andrew Dice Clay from back in the day, he goes from filling football stadiums, performing in front of like 65,000 people while being filmed for pay-per-view, and then being able to sell the VHS cassette of the concert, to not being able to get a nightclub gig in Vegas at 2 a.m, practically overnight. He took it as far as he could go, but he couldn't change. He wasn't able to transition. It's like, and Bob says he only saw Kaufman on Taxi. Yeah, Lotka, the Lotka character. JJ thought Dice Man was funny when he was a teenager, but he grew out of it. Yeah, because it's an adolescent humor. It's an adolescent type of humor. I thought so too. Yeah, if I was like 12, I'm sure it's pretty funny because it's outrageous what he's even saying. But when you're an adult and you listen to it, you're like, what the hell, man? What is your problem? Steve Martin is a good example. Steve Martin was able to make a transition. If you remember way back, Wild and Crazy Guy, you think he would still have a career if he was doing that now? But he realized that wasn't going to work anymore. And learned to do something else. Same thing with Bill Murray. Bill Murray was a terrible actor, very one-dimensional. Even in Ghostbusters, I'm sorry. One-dimensional, terrible actor. He's like Will Ferrell. he had a dial. How much of a drunken slob do you want? Bill Murray, basically. And the dial's on 10 when he's in like Caddyshack. He couldn't act, but he learned and he got away from that. Tuck said, yeah, Richard Pryor too. Yeah. Brian says you and your wife should be comedians. You think so? I don't know. Johnny said Dice could not evolve his shtick. Sven said Cyrano. Yeah, the Steve Martin was in Cyrano. Solid acting in that, actually, for a romantic comedy. And Tuck said, agreed, I'll take Murray over Farrell any day. And that's the thing. Farrell is not evolving. He just has a dial. How loud do you want me to be? He's not evolving. But Bill Murray did. If you see, I think Groundhog Day is probably his best film. And another good one that flies under the radar is Lost in Translation, where he's an actor filming a commercial in Japan. It's interesting. And Chris thinks Bill Murray should have gotten an Oscar for Meatballs. Oh my God. Oh no. Oh no. And how did we end up all the way over here? We went down a rabbit hole, but we're supposed to be talking about something else. Something else. Oh, and by the way, I'm going to get to Alphabet. That's in the thumbnail. Alphabet. Alphabet owns Google. Google owns YouTube. They're in trouble. They're in trouble. Hopefully. But we're going to start. We're going to back up here really quick. We're going to back up here real quick and get into the news again. That kind of discussion is more like what we would do on the Nostalgia channel, actually. But Fox News article here. MSNBC host avoids addressing the backlash to comments about the 13-year-old cancer survivor featured in Trump's speech. You remember that. And MSNBC host Nicole Wallace avoided acknowledging the growing backlash she is facing for comments that she made about the 13-year-old cancer survivor who was featured in President Trump's joint address to Congress. She doesn't want to talk about it now. Wallace was slammed for remarks in MSNBC's coverage of Trump's address, inexplicably linking the young boy to January 6th and the self-destruction, shall we say, for lack of a better term, of Capitol Police officers, because remember, 4 of them decided to end their existence rather than go to court after January 6th, which is extremely suspicious. Excuse me. On Wednesday's installment of Deadline White House, Wallace refrained from addressing the uproar. In fact, there was minimal coverage of Trump's address during her 2-hour program. She gets 2 hours? I wonder what she gets paid for 2 hours on MSNBC. Probably more than I make in a year. One of the most memorable moments from Trump's address was when he put a spotlight on teenager DJ Daniel, an aspiring police officer who was told by doctors 6 years ago he had 5 months to live when he was first diagnosed with brain cancer. On and on, you all know the story. There's DJ being honored at the White House. And Wallace said something really nasty about him and has been getting called out on it in both the mainstream and social media for the last few days. And she won't address it. She won't. I guess she figures if she ignores it long enough, it'll go away. Patriot says Bill Murray is a natural and Will Ferrell played the same character with different clothes. Saturday Night Live as a whole has produced a lot of very one-dimensional characters, though. Most of them are. Can you tell me Adam Sandler has any depth? Or Chris Rock? Chris Rock has an obnoxious knob, and he just turns it up and down. That's all. Everything Chris Rock does, he's obnoxious. I did. Essentially, that's about all he does. When he showed up in Lethal Weapon 3, I almost wanted to walk out of the theater because he was. I understood why the dad didn't like him, but most of them are very one dimensional. John Lovitz, who is funny, one dimensional. He can't do much. Everything he does, it's the same character, essentially. It works in a lot of places, like when he did the voiceover for The Critic. There was a one-season cartoon show called The Critic. It's actually pretty good. And he fits the character perfectly. But try to get him to do anything different, he doesn't have the talent. Most of them don't. But here we go. Wallace now trying to walk back her remarks about this kid growing up and prayerfully won't ever have to defend the Capitol against Trump supporters like January 6th and then end up eliminating his own life, which is a very cruel and stupid thing to say, and has been called out on it, but has not yet answered for it. She still works there. She still getting her salary. I wonder what her salary is. Nicole Wallace. I'm going to look that up. I wonder what her salary is. I always wonder about these people. How much money they make. What are they getting paid to piss everybody off? Once again, I'm in the wrong line of work here. Let me pull this up for you real quick so that you can see what I'm looking at. Nicole Wallace, American political commentator, on just a quick search, $1 million a year. $1 million a year. It's although it says some sources suggest she could be earning as much as $2 million. $1 million a year, 2 hours a day, 5 days a week. And here I am slugging away on YouTube. Oh my. Tuck says Lovitz at least writes some funny stuff. Fair enough. Fair enough. Oh my. Let's see here. I want to get to, I've got some corruption, but I wanted to get to the alphabet. League of Smoke says she's making $1 million too much. And Tuck said $1 million in salary, $1 million in benefits, book sales, consultation, appearances. Yeah. I'm in the wrong line of work. I joke about that all the time, but I wouldn't want to do anything crooked to earn my living, you know? I wouldn't. Yeah, there you go, JJ. Imagine getting paid $1 million a year to be an insufferable douchebag. And there are a lot of these people, they make much more than that. They make more than that for being just as aggravating and annoying. We all remember. Remember what we read yesterday about the Duchess of Sussex and how much Netflix is paying her. This is the story about Alphabet coming up here. And this is a Reuters article. U.S. House panel subpoenas Alphabet over content moderation. And Alphabet, of course, is the parent company. The parent company of Google, which, of course, is the parent company of ScrewTube, where we are right now. ScrewTube. And they're finally being called out for the excessive censorship. Finally getting called out for it. And we'll see where this goes. And Chris is ripping me here. He says, didn't you get some money for that 10 Commandments thing you did a few years back? Yeah, I wish. So here we go. Reuters article. The U.S. House Judiciary Committee subpoenaed Alphabet on Thursday, seeking its communications with former President Joe Biden's administration about content moderation policies. And the reason I'm reading this article is because it hits very close to home. House Judiciary Committee Chairman Jim Jordan also asked the YouTube parent company for similar communications with companies and groups outside government, according to a copy of the subpoena seen by Reuters. Oh, hold still. The subpoena seeks communications about limits or bans on content about President Trump, Tesla, and close Trump ally Musk, the virus that causes COVID, and a host of other conservative discussion topics. The Trump administration and Republicans in Congress have taken aim at big tech companies over policies they say led to suppression of conservative viewpoints online. U.S. Federal Trade Commission Chairman Andrew Ferguson has said companies that coordinated their policies with others or misled users about their own policies may have violated the law, which Meta has already admitted to. Facebook already admitted to doing this, and TikTok was doing this. I mean, not TikTok, Twitter, excuse me, because that was exposed when Musk bought them, that was happening in large amounts. Meta's admitted it, and now Alphabet's in the crosshairs. Last year, under scrutiny from Jordan's House panel, Meta Platforms said the Biden administration had pressured it to censor content. The company ultimately dialed back its content moderation in January. Well, again, that's what I was just saying. Alphabet, to our knowledge, has not similarly disavowed the Biden-Harris administration's attempts to censor speech, Jordan said in a letter to the company on Thursday. Google spokesperson Jose Castaneda said the company will continue to show the committee how we enforce our policies independently, rooted in our commitment to free expression. And I'll tell you right now, that's a bold-faced lie. You all know, as much trouble as I have had on this platform, on ScrewTube, for the last, really, almost the entire Biden administration, for nearly the last 4 years. And I said the C word a moment ago, and I might get in trouble for it because I've been warned not to say it by Google. Personally warned, emails. I've shown them in the past. I have been warned not to talk about the Ukraine, saying anything that goes against the White House press corps. I've been warned about a lot of things, not to talk about jabs and vaxes. I was suspended before for doing that. I've been sanctioned. I've been given warnings. They censor the hell out of you for even talking about that stuff. So yes, absolutely they are. And it's nice to see that someone's finally at least attempting to put them on the chopping block for it, because they are oppressing people's speech. And like I said, Twitter, it was already exposed that the government was encouraging them to do it. And Meta already knuckled under in January. Okay, yeah, Biden administration bullied us into it. Well, you can claim they bullied you into it if you want to. You still did it. I guarantee Alphabet's doing the same damn thing. I'm sure of it. I've seen way too much of it. This channel and Prepper University, Coffee Talk and Prepper University, have had the shit kicked out of them by ScrewTube for all kinds of nonsense. Who remembers when they put me on watch for saying the S word, reading an article about a machine that does self-eliminations, and they put me on a watch. I can't tell you how many yellow strikes I've gotten for mentioning the C virus. Reading articles. Peter says Facebook's still censoring climate change. And Legend says, what does the thumbnail mean on this video? What we're reading right now, Alphabet owns Google, and Google owns YouTube. And they're currently under investigation. The White House Judiciary Committee has gotten around to bringing them in to try to make them account for censoring free speech on the platform. Since Twitter and now X and Facebook/Meta have already confessed to it. So now they want to see, okay, what are you doing? What are you doing? And Sven says, and in their defense, they are bad people. This is what they do. Yeah, they're bad people. They're bad people. But I mean, I've been tortured by these agencies, putting up regular videos, taking down videos without an explanation, giving me sanctions, giving me strikes, suspending me, no explanation. It doesn't make any sense. Puck says no freedom of speech on a privately owned platform. However, the government won't declare them a publisher, so having it both ways. Yeah. Also, it's like if you're going to, don't tell me I have free speech. This is the argument with ScrewTube. You tell me I can say and do whatever I want as a content creator, but then you punish me, and then you won't even tell me what I was punished for. And it's obvious what I was punished for. Although in certain more extreme examples, they do come right out and tell you. Like when Google sent out that blanket email to basically every content creator saying, if you say anything negative about the Ukraine, we'll suspend your entire platform. You won't even have email service. We'll shut down everything. That's insane. Nash says, I have Agent Smith clones after you, probably. Probably. But it's just nice to see somebody finally look at that. Uh-oh. Hi. Where'd you come from? Come here. Monkey, everybody. I know you haven't seen him for a minute. He still doesn't hold still for 2 seconds. You bad cat. What are you doing? Do not step on my keyboard. Come on. What do you want? What do you want? Oh, here we go. You bad cat. It's all right. It's all right. But we can move on from that type of corruption to direct government corruption. And we could start with a Fox News article. No, you cannot nest in my beard right now, okay, buddy? Kitty. Yeah, here we go. He's trying to get into my beard. Come here, buddy. What's wrong with you? What's wrong with you? What are you looking for in there all the time? He does this a lot. He, for some reason, there's something about the beard that he really likes, and he wants to jam his face in it as hard as possible. I guess it comforts him somehow. It's all right. There's worse things he could do. The only thing that stinks about it is he does the little biscuits thing when he does that. So right now he's got his nails dug into my neck. he's doing this. He's purring though. He sounds like he's happy. But what are you going to do? What are we going to do? Peter suggests we need to call out Trump for their censorship more than corporations. And we'll get to this article here. This is a Fox News article coming up. Let's make sure that opens properly. And it's talking about the bullet train. That's the bullet train that is in, I believe, is in California. So who benefited? Blue state lawmaker demands FBI investigate bullet train boondoggle. Representative Kevin Kiley from California is asking the FBI to look into California's high-speed project, which is already facing a compliance audit from the Department of Transportation. Kiley says no rail has been constructed since the project kicked off 17 years ago, and the projection that it could cost $100 billion above previous estimates should raise red flags. I agree. This malfeasance leads to questions that transcend mere incompetence. How is it possible to have spent over $13 billion without a single station opening? Where have these funds gone? Who benefited? Kiley wrote in a letter to FBI Director Kash Patel on Tuesday. Because the project has consumed billions in federal funding, the FBI has both the authority and, I would argue, the responsibility to pursue these questions and deliver answers to the American people. The Public Integrity Division is uniquely qualified to root out any corruption, recover stolen funds, and restore confidence that our tax dollars are being stewarded carefully. They're not, or else you wouldn't be doing this. We welcome this investigation and look forward to working with federal partners. California high-speed rail has been audited over 100 times. Every dollar is accounted for and progress is real. 50 structures have been built, 14,600 jobs created, and 171 miles under construction, according to the California High-Speed Rail Authority. Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy visited Los Angeles last month to rail against the bullet train efforts after it received billions in federal taxpayer funding. So, I mean, we got the California Rail Authority saying that they've built 50 structures. I don't know what that means. Can they actually demonstrate anything's been done? 171 miles under construction. 171 miles under construction, all that could mean is that there's 171 miles of allocated land. It doesn't mean anything's been done on it. And Chris said, did anyone freeze? Are we getting freezes? Puck says maybe they're too busy building the phase 2 Epstein binders. Oh, God. And Tuck says, when was Schwarzenegger governor? Oh, that was in the 90s. He was a governor in the 90s, right? But yeah, I don't trust this either. It says, for too long, taxpayers have subsidized the massively over-budget and delayed California high-speed rail project, Duffy said in a statement. And I wouldn't be surprised. This is the same state. This is the same state that lost tens of billions of dollars in unemployment benefits with no explanation as to where the money went, tens of billions of dollars in COVID relief funds that were allegedly hacked by the Chinese government and stolen. Why should we believe that this rail project is working or is even being done at all? Really, JJ says Arnold was governor from 2003 to 2011. Really? I thought he was. Don't drink my tea. Get away from that. Monkey being a monkey. I thought I thought he, for some reason, I was thinking late 90s that he was governor. So thanks for the clarification there, JJ. I'm with Kevin Riley. Somebody does need to look into that and see if anything funny's going on with that rail system. 17 years later and they don't have a rail system? What the hell are they doing? Where's the money going? California is like a money pit. They waste everything. And as I pointed out, they had that massive multi-billion-dollar hack where some 30-something billion was stolen allegedly by the Chinese government. They had that another 28 to 33 billion in unemployment benefits, unaccountable. They don't know where it is or what happened to it, and there's no explanation. And he wants to know what the hell's going on with the rail project, and I don't blame him. I'd want to know too. And Fruit Farm says the governor. Yeah. The governor. He didn't do a very good job either, as I recall. Didn't do a very good job as governor. He didn't leave it as well as he found it. And it was already a mess. It was already a mess, and he didn't leave it as at least in the same condition that he found it. But while we're on the subject of corruption in government, moving on, I got another one for you. And let me see, what state is this in? I think this is going to be in Oregon. And this is Willamette Week. It's a local paper. Local paper. Oregon Department of Justice. Let me see. Clackamas County Commissioner charged with forging statement while defrauding 83-year-old man. And guess what? Another Democrat lawmaker, Melissa Fireside. That's Melissa Fireside in the picture. The Oregon Department of Justice says the alleged fraud occurred last September when Melissa Fireside was campaigning to unseat Mark Schull. State prosecutors have charged newly seated Clackamas County Commissioner Melissa Fireside. She didn't waste any time. Newly seated Melissa Fireside with 8 counts of felony theft, saying she forged the signature of a state lawmaker and defrauded an 83-year-old man out of $74,000. The Oregon Department of Justice says the alleged last September when Fireside, a Democrat lawmaker, was campaigning to unseat incumbent County Commissioner Mark Schull, a Republican. An indictment said she defrauded Arthur Wayne Petrone of $74,000 and forged the signature of State Representative April Dobson from Happy Valley. Fireside was arraigned in Clackamas County Circuit Court today. She was ordered to have no contact with Petrone or Dobson. Shortly afterward, Oregon Attorney General Dan Rayfield released the indictment, which had been previously sealed. In a statement accompanying the release, Rayfield, also a Democrat, emphasized the impartiality of justice, a nod to how politically charged the allegation is in Clackamas County. Fireside alleged fraud occurred before the election, in which she narrowly defeated Schull, but word of the investigation was first surfaced by conservative media accounts and reported by the Oregonian. It does not matter who you are, which political party you're in, or what position you hold, Rayfield said in his statement. We will aggressively prosecute those who victimize Oregon's seniors. Oh my God. But for some reason, every time I read one of these stories, Like I say all the time, it's a Democrat. Where are all the Republicans? Flukeman said 30 billion hacked by the Chinese, probably more likely to put it to better use than Gavin Newsom ever will. Brian doesn't like short hair on women. Okay. Johnny says, saw yesterday's video. I remember those pink pussy hats. It was a big thing for the far left loonies. I don't remember that. I don't remember seeing it anyways. I don't remember seeing it. But another one bites the dust, and she only just got started, man. She didn't even get her teeth into the job yet. She's already on her way to jail for defrauding the elderly and for forgery. It doesn't make any sense. What a waste. What a waste. As I always say, I don't understand what it is, or maybe I do, what it is about the Democrat Party in particular that attracts this. Has it just become that there's so much corruption there? When people decide they want to get into politics, if they want to get into politics for crooked reasons, they sit there and say, no excuse for this, and defrauding the elderly at that. That's just dirty. That's just dirty. And there's a lot of that goes on, actually, more than they talk about. And she only won by 4% margin, according to this. Maybe they can get Shull to come back, since he's the one that lost the job in the first place. Maybe they'll ask Shull to come back. They'll have to hold another election for a seat. That's too bad. JJ said, no shame, honor, or accountability. Tuck says, agreed, at least the CCP will attempt to build infrastructure, unlike Democrats, the pothole party. Yeah, pothole. Armored wants to know, did she do it for attention? Attention what, steal somebody's money? No, she did that for herself. She did that for herself. Oh, you'll be happy to know that there's new charges for Diddy. This is breaking in the news today. Variety magazine. Sean Diddy Combs gets hit with new allegations of forced labor. So now it's slavery. now we're being accused of enslaving people as well, I guess. A second superseding indictment filed against Sean Diddy Combs in the Southern District of New York accuses the music mogul of verbally and physically threatening employees. At least one employee claims they were forced to engage in sexual acts with Combs as a result of these threats and harm. The 15-page indictment reviewed by Variety was filed Thursday as part of Combs' ongoing sex trafficking and racketeering case. Prosecutors highlight new allegations of abuse, treatment, and forced labor of employees who work across the Combs enterprise. This includes Bad Boys Entertainment. I guess that's a fitting title. Combs Enterprises and Combs Global, among other businesses known and unknown. On numerous occasions from at least 2009 and continuing for years, Combs assaulted women by, among other things, striking, punching, dragging, throwing objects at, and kicking them. The indictment reads, Combs' violence was also not limited to these women. It extends to other employees, witnesses to his abuse, and others. Prosecutors say Combs forced employees to work long hours with little sleep by physically forcing them and committing or threatening acts of psychological, financial, and reputational harm. One employee or employees claims that they were afraid of losing their jobs if they did not comply with demands. And of course, his attorney denies the claims. and says that Combs looks forward to his day in court where he can clear his good name. I don't know. I don't know. His house got burned down, didn't it, in the California fires? Puck says 550 pages of evidence from Hunter's laptop and still no trial. Well, he's asking for, I saw an article where Hunter is asking for that trial to be thrown out, or the possibility to be thrown out, claiming that he has financial hardships. Flukeman said word of mouth Democrats are filth, so the corruptionists are attracted to that particular party. Like discrimination, if one person has certain ideologies and gets away with it, it can attract people. That's true. That's true. I mean, it's speculation, because I don't want to blanket say that all Democrats are bad, but man, it looks that way from this end. It really does. So more allegations now against Combs, now of forced labor. So he has the sexual misconduct, he has violence, and now forced labor as well. Forced labor. Doesn't surprise me. And in your stupid news of the day, I'm sure you must have seen this by now. This is an article from The Independent. I just wanted to glaze over this really quickly. More proof that I'm in the wrong line of work. Independent article. Have you seen this? Have you seen this about the Cheeto? Bad enough a banana sold for $3 million, $6 million. Pokemon-shaped Cheeto, Cheetozard, sells for eye-watering amount at auction, and that's the picture of it. It's basically a Cheeto that is shaped like a Pokemon character that was sold at an online auction, and it closed at $87,840. Money to throw around. Who has this kind of money to throw around for a Cheeto? $87,840. Golden Auction House listed the snack as sold on Sunday. The buyer has chosen to remain anonymous. Yeah, I would too. In addition to the snack, the buyer also received a storage box and a Pokemon card. Bidding lasted nearly a month. The opening price was $250,000, or excuse me, $250. The opening price was $250. The winning bid closed on March 2nd. Closed on March 2nd. So $87,840 was the closing auction bid. Yeah, and there you go. JJ says, looks like I'll be buying bags of Cheetos instead of lottery tickets. Yeah, and just pour through all of them and see if any of them are shaped like anything. I don't even know what to say about that. And here I am struggling. Here I am struggling, and some idiot sells a Cheeto for almost $90,000. And David says, was it the federal government that bought the Cheeto with my tax dollars? Nope. It's one of those, probably one of those Chinese Bitcoin whales, like the guy who bought the damn banana. Tuck says their condo board is almost exclusively Democrat. We have 350,000 lien on us over them not paying a $1,200 bill. And Armored suggests it might be money laundering. Who knows? Who knows? And that's what all people suggest also. The banana and the Cheeto are money laundering schemes. It could be. It could be. I could see that. I mean, usually that's done. I mean, it is done through art. I'm sure money laundering is done through art sales. Hunter Biden is a good example of that. And it's done through book sales. They've been doing that one for a long time. Politicians and televangelists usually profit the most from that one. So I wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised if it was some type of laundering. But man, I need to find a Cheeto like that. I don't eat Cheetos. I don't eat that kind of stuff. But yeah, I mean, I that would sure be nice. It would solve a lot of problems. It would solve a lot of problems if $87,000 would just fall into my lap, minus, of course, auction fees. There's going to be auction fees and taxes involved. They'll probably end up with around 60,000 out of that, but sure, why not? Why not? So let me see here. This is another article that caught my attention. And this is nothing new, but it is important. It's going to be a Washington Post article. Washington Post article here about butterflies. It says butterflies in the U.S. are disappearing at a catastrophic rate. But that's been for the last 20 years that this has been going on. It says butterflies are rapidly fluttering out of existence from coast to coast, according to new assessments that were published Thursday, at a rate that scientists worry could upend ecosystems and undercut pollination that sustains America's crops. The total number of butterflies in the contiguous United States has declined 22% over a 20-year period, according to a study in the Journal of Science. A shrinking habitat, rising temperatures, and a toxic array of pesticides kill off the delicate insects. And, you know, they said it anyways, that this has been going on for like 20 years, that the populations have been dying off. I don't think it's because of temperatures, but it is because of pesticides, and it is because of shrinking habitats, and it is man's fault. All of the roads and highways and all the construction and even the lawns. You don't have flowers in your lawn. A green lawn is a desert to most insects. There's nothing there for them. There's nothing there for them, especially pollinators. And then everywhere you go, and I've done videos on this in the past, especially I've seen it in Illinois, I've seen it in Georgia, I've seen it in Kansas, I've seen it in South Carolina, where they go along the sides of the roads and they spray for insects, they spray for ticks and mosquitoes and whatever, and they kill everything for like 10 to 20 feet in. And it destroys those ecosystems. So we either level everything or we poison it. So collectively across the United States, it's drastically affected all pollinators, not just butterflies, but bees, wasps, and hornets are pollinators. You know, wasps make honey, right? I wouldn't advise trying to get any. And the Patriot said fireflies haven't been as abundant as I remember. That's a good point also. All of those animals, even pigeons. I remember growing up in Boston, or ladybugs. Even in Boston, living in Allston, I would see tens of thousands of ladybugs growing up. They're crawling all over everything. And pigeons everywhere, huge flocks of them. And by the time the 90s rolled around, I didn't see any of that. It was all gone. And all people suggest that's Stacey Abrams you're talking about, that her books are money laundering. Very likely. very likely. But this is just, it's not, I know they'll try to blame that on climate change. I got to close it out. But it's not true. It's because of people being bad stewards of their environment. And here's your debt clock, with Doge currently at $174 billion and counting, projected. So with that, since we are at the top of the hour, I will go ahead and start signing off. Again, you are listening to and or watching Coffee Talk, and you can find the live portion Monday through Friday at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time most of the time. You can find me on X at Coffee Talk Chat. You can find me on fistfulofradio.com, podcasting out of Atlanta. Special thanks to Johnny for making a donation to the channel today. Very much appreciated. Goes a long way towards helping with our feline friends. And thank you, everybody else, for joining us here today. As always, hope you got something out of the conversation. And we will see you again on Monday